Hi, Principal Gonzalez. I thought I would take some time today to go over the Footsteps to Brilliance data dashboard for you, and you can share this with the teachers as well. To log into your Footsteps to Brilliance account, you can go to www.andliteracyforall.net. You can also go to myf2b.com, which is like myfootstepstobrilliance.com. And those are both two ways that you can log in. On the data dashboard, you can see how your class is doing, how each student is doing in your class, and the different areas that they needed help on, and the different areas that they are doing well in. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to log into my Footsteps to Brilliance account to show you where to go to get to the dashboard. Okay, so I went to www.andliteracyforall.net to get to my Footsteps to Brilliance login area. This is our website that's part of the Colusa County Office of Education's website. And if you go down on here, you'll see our contact information, and you'll also see Footsteps to Brilliance login. And you can also log in for either of the two. One thing to note is that when you're logging into Footsteps to Brilliance online, if you log into one, you can toggle between the different softwares. So you can toggle between the pre-reader and the I Can Read. So don't feel like, oh, if I log into one through the website, I can't log into the other. You can. It's just when you're using the iPad that you have to go to the different apps. But online, you can go ahead and log into one and have access to all three. So I'm going to go ahead and log in here to get to my Footsteps to Brilliance login area. This is our website that's part of the Colusa County Office of Education's website. And if you go down on here, you'll see our contact information, and you'll also see Footsteps to Brilliance login. And you can also log in for either of the two. One thing to note is that when you're logging into Footsteps to Brilliance online, if you log into one, you can toggle between the different softwares. So you can toggle between the pre-reader and the I Can Read. So don't feel like, oh, if I log into one through the website, I can't log into the other. You can. It's just when you're using the iPad that you have to go to the different apps. But online, you can go ahead and log into one and have access to all three. So I'm going to go ahead and log in here. And on here, it looks exactly the same as it would on the tablet. So I'm going to go to username and password. All teachers, parents, and administrators can log in this way. Students will need to log in on their super secret code right here, or on the student ID option. Their student ID is linked to their account. So if for some reason they forget their super secret code, they can always log in their student ID. So I'm going to go ahead and log in with my username and password. Now that I've logged in, this is what my homepage looks like. And all teachers and administrators will have the same homepage. At the bottom here, it says report dashboards, class management, and lesson plans. Lesson plans is a place that you can go to get resources to use Footsteps to Brilliance in the classroom. Class management is a place you can go to add students to your classroom, print out the class roster, delete students from your classroom, and look up student information. And report dashboards is where you're going to go to see the data on how each class is doing. So I'm going to go ahead and click on report dashboards. And one thing to note that when you're logging in, you're going to want to use Google Chrome. Internet Explorer, Firefox, and Safari do not support Footsteps to Brilliance very well, but Google Chrome does an excellent job. So definitely make sure that you are using Google Chrome when you are logging into your Footsteps to Brilliance account on a computer. So on this page, you can watch the teacher tutorial here and the admin tutorial. So for administrators, you are going to want to watch the admin tutorial. For teachers, you're going to want to watch the teacher tutorial. And it just gives you a brief overview of the data dashboard, kind of like what I'm doing here. What we're going to do next is we're going to go up here to the upper left-hand corner, and we're going to click on these three lines. And everyone's screen is going to look a little bit different because I'm an administrator for Colusa County Office of Education for Footsteps to Brilliance. I can see information for the whole district. So every school that has bought into Footsteps to Brilliance with us, I have access to looking at that information. For teachers, you will only be able to see your specific classroom, and for administrators at the school, you'll only be able to see your specific district. So I'm going to go ahead and go down and I'm going to click on Williams Elementary School. Now for Williams Elementary School, I have two options. I can go directly into a classroom, or I can look at the school dashboard. Now the school dashboard is going to give me information about the school overall, and I can look at information for this year and for last year for the school dashboard. Now for teachers, you are going to go into your specific classrooms. So I'm going to click on school dashboard just so we can see how Williams Elementary School is doing today. And today is February 11th, 2021. Now, one thing about the data dashboard that you will notice is that it labels the beginning of the school year at August 1st. It's just a blanket date that it chooses for all schools as the start of the school year. And then it will give you data for yesterday's date. So because today is not yet over, it goes until the day before. So I can't access data for February 11th, but I can access data up to February 10th. So whatever day you are watching this video on, yesterday's date is the most recent data you can get. Now you can click on here and change the date. So if you want a specific date range, you can apply that there. There's also quick date ranges here, which is the last week, the last month, the last 3 months, or current school year. You can also look at the leaderboard to see what classes are leading the way in usage, which means hours spent using Footsteps to Brilliance, how many books have been created, how many words have been read, games have been played. And you can also do that with students to see what are the top students for your school in all of those categories as well. Down here is an overview of those categories. So as of yesterday, February 10th, there have been 978 hours of literacy spent. So that means students and teachers have spent 978 hours on Footsteps to Brilliance since August 1st. There have also been over 2 million words read since August 1st, over 3,000 books read, over 9,000 games played, and over 1,000 books written. So these are some really great achievements, and these are things that you can share with school board members, the community at large, parents, anyone that you think might like to know that information. Now, if I scroll down, I will also see implementation overview, which means it shows me what grades are using it. So it looks like first grade is using it the most, 33%, and then we have second grade at 26%, kindergarten at 23%, and third grade at 18%. Over here, it tells me where they are spending their time. So students are spending 38% of their time using this at home. We have after school time, so 305 hours and 26 minutes is when students are using it after school. During school, 599 hours and 54 minutes. Weekend, 62 hours and 43 minutes. And before school, 10 hours and 1 minute. So that's also a really great statistic to see that before school, students are using Footsteps to Brilliance. And over here, it tells us what kids are working on the most. So they're spending most of their time on skill games. So that's this portion right here. And again, you can break it down to see the hours that students are using Footsteps to Brilliance. Now down here it says view legacy reports. Legacy reports are reports that you can look at from previous school years. Now if you click on that and it doesn't give you the specific school year of data that you would like to see, let me know and I can contact the Footsteps to Brilliance administrators and they can give me that information. Now let's go back up here. Let's go ahead and let's click on proficiency. And for proficiency, I can look at how the students are doing overall in the different areas of literacy. So we have language, logic and reasoning, phonics, phonological awareness, and reading comprehension. And if I click over here, it will show me the classes that specifically have data for that. I can also break it down to grade level. So let's look at kindergarten. And first grade. Second grade. And third grade. Now, down here we have a key that tells us what these different colors mean. So for proficient, that means the students are getting almost everything correct when they are using Footsteps Brilliance. We have the color green. So this tells us how many students are proficient in these different areas of literacy. The yellow color means developing, and that means students still need a little bit of practice on different skill sets found in these literacy components. Red means that the students need help. So that means that they are just not getting it and need a little bit of extra guidance from you on how to complete specific tasks in Footsteps to Brilliance or in those specific areas. And again, you can click on there and it tells you which students may need help. Now, if I click on this plus icon here, I can drill down and I can see different areas of language that students are being tested on in Footsteps to Brilliance. So we have alphabetizing, grammar and usage, print concepts, vocabulary acquisition. Again, we have the color coding system here. And again, you can click on here to see classes. I can click on the plus again, and it'll drill down even further. We have arranged letters in alphabetical order, arranged words in alphabetical order. So I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to click on growth. So growth will show us in these different areas how the kids are doing for this school year. I can also look at last school year. So you can do that for proficiency and growth from the home page. So if I wanted to look at last school year for proficiency, I just click on there and then we can take a peek. But I'm going to go ahead and look at growth. So again, we can look at overall growth. So that means all of the students for the school year. We can look at specific grade levels here. So let's go down. And this is for, again, beginning August 1st, 2020 is the start date for that. So phonological awareness, it looks like the initial score was 73.42%. So that's averaging out all of the scores from all of the kids when they're using Footsteps to Brilliance, and it's jumped up about 2% since then. Over here, phonics, since August 1st, the initial score is 86.51%. So averaging out all the phonics games and books that the kids have been working on. And it's again jumped up about 2% to 88%. Let's go down some more. Language, 76.68% in August, and it's jumped up again about 2% for that. Let's look at reading comprehension, 78.84% in August, and now we're at 80.92%. So again, it's jumped up about 2%. So it kind of seems like every single section, the kids are improving as the school year goes on, which is great. It's about 2% increase. So logic and reasoning, 82.26%. Now we're at 84.76%. So that's great to see all of those increases. And again, you can look at last school year as well when you are looking at growth. If I want to look at a specific class, I'm going to go over here back to the three little lines. And again, for teachers, you're only going to see your classroom as an option. For administrators, this is what you'll see. So you'll see the whole school. So I'm actually going to go and go into a different school to look at their classrooms. So I'm just going to hop back there really quick. And I'm going to look at Arbuckle Children's Center Preschool. So as a teacher, this is what you'll see. You'll see classes and then it'll have your class. So I'm going to click on that. And you can see the class dashboard, which is kind of like what we did with the school dashboard for Williams Elementary School, where I can just see how the whole class is doing as a whole, or I can go and look at specific students. So I'm first going to go and click on class dashboard. And so I'm going to look at my dates here if I want to change the dates. Again, it starts on August 1st because that is the blanket date for all of the schools for the start of the school year, unless of course some schools have year-round school, but we don't. So let's go ahead and let's look at how this class is doing. So class achievements, again, you can see hours of literacy, words read, and it'll tell you who is reading the words, so students or teachers, who is using the Footsteps to Brilliance software, students or teachers. As you can see for this class, there has been 126 hours and 34 minutes used by students and 15 hours and 16 minutes used by teachers. Books read, again, it tells you who has read it, the teachers or the students, games played, and books written. We have our student engagement categories here. So for total hours, it'll tell you who's leading the way for hours of usage. And if you scroll down, again, you can see your whole class. You can click on word count here to see how many words have been read by the students. So if you wanted to highlight a certain goal, so let's say it's 100,000 words, 1,000,000 words, that is something that you can highlight for your class by looking up here. And you can also highlight that for students. So I'm at the end of this video, I'm going to show you the teacher toolkit where you can find certificates that you can use with the students if they reach these milestones. We also have books read. So again, it tells you how many books have been read by each student in the class, games played, and books written. So you can also do a weekly or a monthly challenge with the students in this. So you can say, we are going to have a competition to see who can spend the most time on Footsteps to Brilliance, or who can read the most words on Footsteps to Brilliance, etc. for this month or for this week, and the winner will get a certificate. So that's one way to encourage students and families to use Footsteps to Brilliance, because who doesn't love a certificate for achievements? Now you can also on the side here look at attendance. Clever Kids University, so it'll tell you how the kids are doing in Clever Kids University and where each student is in Clever Kids University, if that's something they're using. Assignments, class activity log, writing, and flexible groups. So let's click on attendance. Now, attendance is a great option to check and see if the kids are using it each week. So if you are assigning Footsteps to Brilliance to the kids as homework, or you're just encouraging families to use it 15 minutes a day for 5 days a week, you can go and look down and see how many students have been using it for which days. So as you can see, it's broken down for this one specific week. And you can change the date here. So if you want to check and see how they did for the entire month, you can go ahead and you can change the month. You can even look at for the entire year so far, if you would like to do that. You can export this as well, and that can be something that you can add to your gradebook. If you are keeping track of this for homework purposes, you can also print it. So those are some options for the usage for the attendance report. Let's go back to the overview. And I'm going to click on Clever Kids University progress. Now, Clever Kids University is fairly new. It's something that launched last January. So January 2020 is when it launched. And so this might be something that you are not familiar with. If you are interested in becoming familiar with Clever Kids University, please let me know. I'd be happy to give you a demo, and I can also get the Footsteps to Brilliance administration team to do a demo for you as well. Now on here, if I go into Clever Kids University pre-reader, I click on Show Students, and it tells me where the kids are in the class who are using it. So Footsteps to Brilliance School Edition is the original software, and it is what many of you have been trained on or are familiar with. Clever Kids University is an add-on to that. So pre-reader is mainly for students who are ages 3 through 5. And then I Can Read is for students 5 through 8. So on here, you can see that there are some students who have been using Clever Kids University pre-reader. So there are 5 of them as it shows up here. And then this means that 6 students have not used it yet. And now for I Can Read, we have 2 students who have used it and 9 who have not done it. Let's go ahead and click on assignments. Okay, and for assignments, let's go ahead and click on the assignments tutorial over here.
In this tutorial, I will show you how you can assign books and games and then track student progress in dashboards. When you log into Footsteps to Brilliance or Clever Kids U on a browser, you will see this new banner at the top of the screen. Navigate to the book, game, or writing activity that you want to assign to your students. Notice that the banner displays the activity name, activity type, and the learning objective. If the learning objective is too long, just click the banner to see the whole thing. Next, click Assign this activity. Here is what you are assigning. Label your assignment. Reuse the same label to group many activities together on reports. Click Copy Link. The link is now on your clipboard. You can paste this link into Google Classroom, Seesaw, Canvas, a web page, a Google Doc, or any other tool you want to use to communicate with your students and parents. I will paste this link into an assignment I'm creating in Google Classroom. When students click the link, they will log in and then go directly to the activity. Whenever students access an activity from an assignment link, you will see the assignments banner at the top. Notice it displays your assignment label and the name of the current activity. When students exit the assignment, either by completing it or by clicking the back arrow, they will see this screen. Remember, you may need to train your students to close this browser window and go back to Google Classroom for their next assignment link. Next, let's see how you can track progress on assignments. In Report Dashboards, go to Class Dashboard. Then, click Assignments. You will find a new Assignments Gradebook. Here, you will find a list of your assignment labels, average score, how many activities, and how many students have worked on this assignment. This is the label I used for Kathy the Caterpillar book. Click the assignment label to see details. This will list all of your students and their progress on the assignment. Now you know the basics of assignments. For more information, visit our knowledge base at help.myf2b.com or contact support@footsteps2brilliance.com. Happy learning!
And you can always contact me, Stephanie Santana, who's our literacy liaison, or Carissa Williams, who's our project director, if you need help with any of this. But as you can see, there have been no assignments created for this classroom. So the teacher has not assigned anything for this classroom. But if she had, it would show up here just like we saw on the video. I'm going to click on Overview again. And let's go ahead and go into Class Activity Log. Okay, so for class activity log, it is going to give me a list of the students in the class and how many activities that they have completed. So as you can see, some students have completed quite a few, while some have not. Let's go ahead and click on a student. And it's going to give me a list of everything that this student has worked on and their scores. So as you can see, the colors here are the same. So we have needs help, developing, and proficient. So we have red, yellow, and green. So if I want to see what my student has been working on in writing, I go here and look at writing. So if I want to print this out to highlight it in my weekly message to families, or just to print out and keep for my records, I would click on that. And then here is a print option. So from your computer, you can print that out, and that can be work that you save that that student has done. Same with creating books. If a student has created a book as one of the activities, you can print that out as well and save that as work that the student has worked on. Now, if I click on needs help, it'll tell me what this specific student needs a little bit of help on. So it looks like the student needs help with these activities, and it tells you what the learning objective is. It also tells you what the score is on that activity, when it was worked on, and how long they spent on that activity. So if a student needs some help with a specific activity, and it might be an activity that you assign to them, it'll tell you how they're doing on that specific activity. So let's go ahead and let's go back to the overview page. And we're going to look at writing. So this will give us writing samples from the kids. So up here, it tells you how many books have been written for the whole class. And they have all been written in Footsteps to Brilliance School Edition. No books have been created in either of the Clever Kids University apps. So I'm going to go down and let's find a writing sample to look at. So it gives you a preview. The title is My Drawing, when she created it, and how long she spent on there. So I'll click on that. And again, if I want to print this and use it as a sample of her writing, I can do that. Let's click on another one. It looks like this student has created 2 books. So let's go ahead and let's click on one of the books. So for this book, this student created it on February 3rd, and you can print the book out as well and add that as a writing sample. It tells you who created it, what class that student was in, what school they were at, and when was the last time they worked on it. So you can always create a book and go back and work on it some more. And here is what is in the book. We're going to go back to the overview page again. But before I do, again, these are just writing samples for this week, so you can always change the date ranges for that. And now let's go down to flexible groups. Okay, for flexible groups, it tells you the class proficiency for each student, and then what groups they can be grouped in for different areas of literacy. So if you're doing small group work, when we're back in the classroom, that will be very beneficial to you. So I'm going to go down, and as you can see, it is the same 5 literacy categories that we saw at the beginning. So I'm going to click on this student here. For phonological awareness, this student is at 100%. And so if I click on him, it will show me where he is everywhere else. So he's at 100% for phonological awareness. But if I come over here to phonics, he is at 60%. So he needs a bit of help with phonics. Let me go down. For language, he is at 91%. But for reading comprehension, he has yet to log in and do any reading comprehension activities. So if you see any students that are gray, that's what that means. And for logic and reasoning, he's at 74%. Now let's click on flexible groups. For flexible groups, I can drill down and see how I can group individual students based on their proficiency level. So I'm going to click on phonological awareness. And I'm going to go into rhyming. So let's say we're working on a rhyming unit, and I would like to learn how to group the students by using Footsteps to Brilliance. Well, we have 4 students who are proficient, 2 students who are developing, 2 students who need help, and 3 students have yet to log in and complete any sort of rhyming games or activities. So I'm going to click on Show Students. And here are my groups. And that's something you can look at for all of the categories here for literacy. And lastly, I'm going to look at growth at the top because we have gone through and looked at everything on here so far. Now, much like we saw with the overview of the school dashboard, this shows us how the kids are doing in this specific class. So in this specific class, there has been growth across the board for this school year. Now, for the proficiency and the growth tabs, you can't change the range of dates on here like you can with the other areas. That's just because it's showing you an overview of this school year so far for both of those areas. So for phonological awareness, from September 5th, so September 5th is the first time this classroom logged in and started working on phonological awareness activities. They're at 74%, and the last time they logged in was 2 days ago on February 9th, and now they're at 77%. For phonics over here, 69%, all the way up to 79%. So that is a tremendous jump for this class in phonics. For language, 67%, now up to 79%. Logic and reasoning, they're at 65%, now up to 72%. And reading comprehension, 55%, up to 64%. So this is another way to see how your class is doing as a whole and how they are growing. I'm going to go back to overview. And now I'm going to go back to the classroom itself on the 3 lines over here. I'm going to click on it and I'm going to look at a specific student. So I'm going to click on this student here. And as a teacher, you have the option of doing this. And this will give me an overview of how this student is doing on Footsteps to Brilliance. So for this specific student, it tells me the hours of literacy, words read, books read, games played, and books written. And I can go down. It averages how much time the student is spending on Footsteps to Brilliance per week. It tells you what they are working on, where they are working on it, and what activities they favor the most. You can go down and look at their performance here, and that will help you when you're trying to, again, group them or see what they need help with. And you can drill in just like before and see what they need specific help on. So as you can see, she was developing in language. So she was yellow, but once I looked a little bit further, I see that there is an area she needs help with. So that is something that I can make a note of and help her with. I can drill down even farther and it'll tell me exactly what part of this she's having trouble with. So classifying parts of speech is where she's having some issues. Print concepts, I can drill down farther, and it looks like she's understanding that words are made up of groups of letters. So for print concepts for her age, this is a preschool student, so it's a bit more basic and what they're tracking. And again, vocabulary acquisition, demonstrate understanding of domain-specific vocabulary. And you can do that for all of these different areas to see how the student is progressing. You can also go down here and look at Clever Kids University. So it looks like for the I Can Read app, which is for children ages 5 through 8, this is what she's working on. So she is still in the first part of Clever Kids University, I Can Read, and she's at 11% completion. The very last thing she worked on is week 3, Watch Out Sam, Timba the Tiger. So that's the very last thing that she was working on. And it tells you exactly what that assignment is all about. And it gives you printables that the student can use when using Clever Kids University. Right here, you can look at scope and sequence for Clever Kids University. And for scope and sequence, as you can see, it tells you what phonics, writing, skill building, and STEM comprehension and vocabulary the student is working on in that specific book or activity. So week 1, this is what the student is working on. Week 2, this is what the student is working on. And if I go down, it'll tell me more information. This is also something you have access to for overall for Clever Kids University in the lesson plans. And now for the Clever Kids University pre-reader, which is geared towards more pre-K age students, because the I Can Read app is more for students who are learning to read, whereas pre-reader is more for foundational skills. It's the exact same thing. Here's some printables and scope and sequence. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you is the lesson plan. So I'm just going to exit out of here. And again, here's the login page. Class management is where you can go to add or subtract students from your classroom, print out class rosters, and lesson plans are in here. So let's go ahead and click on lesson plans. And on the lesson plans, on these specific areas of Footsteps to Brilliance and Clever Kids University, you can click inside and get some lesson plans for you. On the side here, you have report dashboards, class management, so you can click in there and get back into those areas. You can make game cards for the students, toolkits. Summer Climb is a facet of Footsteps to Brilliance that's geared towards summer school, and help. So this help icon we're going to click on first before we get into the toolkits or look at the lesson plans. So if you have a specific concern or question about Footsteps to Brilliance, you can create a support ticket here. You can also contact me. I'm happy to help you. So if I click on support ticket, it allows me to put in my email, the subject, and a description. You can also attach a file. So if you're having an issue specifically with something on Footsteps to Brilliance, you can take a screenshot of it and attach it here. And then you just click on submit. I'm going to go back now. And down here, we have our knowledge base. So knowledge base, we have Parent University. So these are the most frequently asked questions that parents have about Footsteps to Brilliance. They're in English and in Spanish. If I go down, there are instructional videos for different age groups. So if you are a first grade teacher, there are instructional videos here on how to read the books and use them with the students. Again, they're all in English and Spanish. Now, if I go down a bit farther, we also have frequently asked questions for educators, and that's in getting started for educators. So if you click on here, it gives you tips and tricks on how to use Footsteps to Brilliance when getting started. Again, with over here. You can always, again, email me or call me if you have questions. Devices and technical setup internet and Wi-Fi connectivity, and other technical issues can be found here. If you have questions about classroom teacher reports or administrator reports, adding and editing users, as you can see, it goes on and on. But you can always email me first if you have questions. So I'm going to exit out of here. Now let's take a peek at the lesson plans. Now we have some really great Footsteps to Brilliance administrators who are trained to give professional development in all areas of curriculum and Footsteps to Brilliance. So for the Wonders curriculum for your school, for example, they already have a training created for that specific curriculum. So if you would like extra training on the curriculum itself, please let me know and we can contact them to set that up for you. But in the meantime, these are some places to get started. So I'm going to click on Traditional Spanish Songbooks. This one can be found in Level 1 of Footsteps to Brilliance. Here are all of the books on Traditional Spanish Songbooks. So I'm going to click on the 10 Puppies. Now, in the 10 Puppies, the lesson plan for this is a recipe for success. And all the lesson plans are printables for you. So on here, it tells you some tips and tricks that you can use for the 10 Puppies book. Now, if I go back, I'm going to click on Teacher Resources. And I'm going to click on another one. So let's go ahead and let's click on Karaoke Nursery Rhymes. And this one is going to give you a more in-depth lesson plan, and it will tell you the areas of study that the book itself is focusing on for literacy. So let's click on Hey Diddle Diddle. And again, we have recipes for success, but we also have a written lesson plan that you can use. Common Core lesson plan. And this is not Wonders oriented. This is just Common Core oriented. So again, if we were to provide a training, it would have specific Wonders curriculum. But as you can see, for the different grade levels, these are the different areas that the students are working on for Common Core. And it tells you why it's important to use this book. It's a nursery rhyme book. So it says, why sing? It has key vocabulary listed, learning objectives, and then it tells you what you can do for 5 days using the book. So for, let's say you're doing 1 week of this, you're going to use this for day 1. So you're going to introduce the rhyme and it gives you directions on what to do with the kids. Go down, we have day 2, it's focusing on comprehension. Day 3, collaborate and create. Day 4 is communicate. And day 5 is critical thinking. Now there's also another activity here that's a bonus, and it's called puppet time. So it says, have students create stick puppets to retell the rhyme. So that is one thing that you can use as a lesson plan. I'm going to go back and I'm going to click on flashcards. Now these are printable flashcards that you can use with the kids, and it has different areas of vocabulary that are present. So here are the flashcards, and we have pictures with the words. Now what you can do is you can print out the flashcards and then where these dots are. So on one side you can have the picture and on the other side you can have the spoon. Another thing you can do is print out 2 sets of these images and create a memory game for the kids. So just like with the typical memory game, you would have all of the cards face down and the students would have to flip over 2 at a time and try to match them. And every time they flip a card over, they can say the word. So if they flip over the fiddle and the cat, they would say fiddle, cat. That way they are saying the word, reading it, and associating it with an image. I'm going to go back. And now let's look at homework. This is a printable that you can provide for families, and it says homework for the week of, and you can just write in the date there. And it gives families an idea of why they need to do this specific book. What is the purpose for it? And if we go down, if we go to Monday, it tells you what activity needs to be done, and then the parent initials it. It also has vocabulary words here. So you can ask parents to practice the vocabulary words with the students. And using those flashcards would really help you with that because those words will match the images. And this is something that can be turned into you at the end of each week. And again, by looking at that data dashboard, you will be able to see if the student has actually completed the activity by looking at the assignments area. So you can give this to parents, you can assign it on the data dashboard, and you can also check to see what the students have created. And especially on Wednesdays, you can see we have the create a book option. You can go into their writing on the data dashboard and look at the book they created and print that and save that as well. Lastly, we're going to look at the toolkits. Now for teachers, you will have a teacher kit. And I'm going to go ahead and click in there. And it gives you resources that you can use. So we have a curriculum overview here. So let's click in there. So there are 17 pages. And it goes through every single facet of Footsteps to Brilliance and what the students will be learning as they go through and do the different activities, read the different books. And it goes through level by level. So level 1 is geared toward pre-K and kinder, also some first grade. Level 2 is first grade and second grade, and level 3 is second grade and third grade. So this is another wonderful resource that you can use. You can also print out reading charts and artwork that you can display in your classroom. There are graphic organizers you can use. There's a quick start guide for teachers, and that gives you some answers to frequently asked questions about Footsteps to Brilliance, how you get started. Book readability measures are on here, so it breaks down which specific books have which specific reading levels. There's also lesson plan templates here that you can fill in yourself. There's alignment to standards and other programs here. There are writing rubrics here, and here are the student certificates. So let's click in there. Now, these are all printable certificates that you can use with the students. Now, these are great if you're going to do challenges with the students. So seeing who can play the most literacy games that week or that month. And you can present that to the student. That might be something that could be fun to do at Flag Salute. Here's another one. And if you would like a specific certificate made for your classroom or for the school, that's something that we can have created for you. So we can have something on there that has a B. It can say button of success, whatever you want, we can have it created.